Steve, Mom and Dad and Michael. How you doing, guys?
Fine.
Everything okay? Enjoying this new year?
Beautiful.
Was it 57, 53?
Right.
And we're going to be doing a little interview, starting an interview today. Okay? Yay, Michael's happy about that. And here's the first question I've been wanting to ask you guys for a long time. How come you never told Harriet she was adopted?
I often wondered because, after all,
That's not what you're saying. Think about our daughter. That you'll be sorry about afterwards.
the Iceman came to the house quite frequently.
That's what I thought. Well, Harriet, when you watch this tape at some point, the truth is still not known. But we're trying to figure out who your biological parents are, because none of us really want to take responsibility.
Nice.
What's that?
That isn't very nice.
You're the one who told me.
Darn it, I knew it would get out one of these days.
Why don't you tell us how you met?
Well, I met Mother in Strawberry Mansion around 19. I said to myself, that's the girl for me.
The first date, you thought that?
He did. He really did. I didn't. He did.
When I saw her, I said, that's the girl for me.
So you went to pick her up at her house?
Oh, afterwards, yes. I met her in a girlfriend's house at first.
Ah, I see. Whose girlfriend? Who was it?
That I wouldn't know. I would have killed her since.
You're such a dumb.
What did you think, Mom, the first time you saw Dad?
I was not attracted. I was attracted to one of his friends called, I can still remember the name after all these years. His name was Charlie. And I wanted Charlie, but obviously Charlie did not want me. And Dad kept pressuring me for a date, and I wasn't allowed to date till I was 16.
So how old were you at that time?
I was 15.
Dad, how old were you?
I don't know. I must have been about 17, something on that order. 16, 17.
And now you're going to be married 60 years coming this June, right?
Right.
So what do you, what's the formula for the success of a good, long-standing marriage?
Keeping out of mother's way.
You managed to do that after all these years?
Oh, I try.
No, the answer to that is...
Respect. Actually, we both have respect for each other, and that counts. That's the biggest thing, beside love.
So after all these years...
Wait a minute, I want to get close to this man.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There. That's it.
So after all these years, you think that when you look back on it, that the success for a good marriage is respect?
Respect and love.
And
Love.
Yeah.
I think that's big.
We have to give each other room enough to spread out a little bit. I don't mean weight. I mean...
Weight has come its own natural way. Oh God, there's so many years, so long ago. Can't believe it.
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Everyone else can't believe it either.
But thank God for our union that we have Harriet and Bruce.
That's right. And now we have Carol
And
Albert.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the rest of our grandchildren.
3 girls and 3 boys.
So if you had things to do over again, what would you do differently?
As far as I'm concerned, I'd do the same thing.
Well, let me put it this way. There are times in our lives when we like to kill one another, but more times that we do love one another. And I don't know about the changing things or anything.
How
What
about
could say?
like work, or where you lived, or
No.
what you did for fun? What
I
did you do
enjoyed it,
different?
what I did. Dad was working, but his hours weren't too bad. And some people, when the man has to retire, it upsets them very much. Some women, it did not upset me, because Dad was with me a lot. His work hours were that way, and we just enjoyed it. But some people cannot, the man cannot retire.
You have any regrets?
No.
Not I.
I was sure what I mean.
No.
No?
In fact, I would do it all over
It
again.
was here before.
If it were possible.
So what advice would you give to your children and your grandchildren for their happiness?
For their happiness is respect for others and love for everything, peace and health. And health.
We were very fortunate.
Yeah, how so?
Well, everything, I think
Our children,
we enjoyed whatever we did in every different phase of our lives.
and our children, and
With our friends and children. When I look around and see my grandchildren, I can't believe it.
we were very lucky, if that's what you want to call it.
Of course, we're ready to kill one another right now.
What were the things that you were proudest about, other than my birth?
I was just going to say, happy you, Bruce. No, Harry, Alan, and their spouses.
You heard him say it.
But he didn't say it out loud. I don't know. And there's always ups and downs in every marriage.
I
So,
can't-
nothing's perfect.
I can't pinpoint anything derogatory. But, if my life was to end tomorrow, I would still be happy.
He's
And I have no
always said
regrets.
that. He's always said that.
And I have no regrets.
Yeah, and how about you, Mom?
Fine. Everything is fine. I really mean that. But I want to tell you something. I would like to. You know, when you're talking and you're asking questions, of course you're going to get the sweet side, the nice side, and everything. Things aren't always that way. With family, in and out of family, and all that, it's not always peaches and cream. But when you want the essence of everything, it hasn't been bad.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So what type of secrets would you say now that you've reached an age where you can give people your wisdom? What type of suggestions would you make for people? What's really important in life?
Listen to one another.
Mm-hmm.
I think more than anything. And a lot of times we didn't. And, but if you want an all-around, all-over picture, it's been lovely.
Yeah.
And it's still going on, kids.
That's right.
Remember
Well, this
that.
is a new
Behave
year.
yourself.
So on this new year, we're going to fade out, and we'll come back for more of the interview. But we just got this started, and we want to hear
There's a
about more
lot.
information about your lives and
There's a lot
what
to
worked,
be told.
what didn't work, what would you do over again. So maybe you can think about that. And
Well, tell me something, Bruce. Is there everything that you can tell to people? You can't. What's inside of you? I, for one, I cannot tell you everything.
well,
But an all-around picture, we're thankful for what we
You
have.
must remember, I had a very good childhood, and Mother didn't. And the combination of good and bad, we had equal, and we found the equal denominator, and that's what counts.
well, it worked for the two of you, didn't it?
It sure did.
Almost 60 years. I cannot believe that. I cannot believe it.
I understood her wrought, and she understood mine, and that's what counts.
Don't kid yourself. Oh, it wasn't always sweet and peaches and cream, but I'll take it anytime. It was great.
You insist upon.
I won't say past tense. Was.
You insist.
It is great. That's better.
You insist upon. You always put yourself in the middle there. That you always give yourself a chance to.
Out? I want an out.
I can't understand that. She always gives herself a chance of out.
All right. Well, we'll continue this at some point.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
very
on this
much.
wonderful New Year, we'll talk to you soon.
Happy and a healthy New Year to all of ours. And everybody.
See ya. Of course, is the day after Christmas, and we're all here. And I thought I'd grab the two of you while I had an opportunity and ask you some questions that I know might be interesting for you guys to talk about. I hope, anyway. And you can either look at me or look in the camera. It doesn't make much of a difference. So I thought that it might be helpful if you guys gave me some idea about your families, like where you came from, what you remember. I know things weren't talked a hell of a lot about back then, in terms of, and it was a really long time ago too, for I say. I mean,
Well,
we're talking about a long time.
Quiet over there.
Who wants to go first?
well,
I'll go first.
okay.
A woman's privilege.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, tell me, like, where did your dad come from? Where was he born?
I don't know too much about my father, but I know he was born in Russia. But
Do you know where in Russia?
No. And that's a sad part, but I just don't know. And he died so young.
Yeah. How old was he when he died?
When he died, he was 29.
29.
So,
And if I remember the stories, he had kind of a shady history when he was here too, huh?
well, no, wouldn't say that.
No.
I don't like
mean-
to talk against him, even though it's so
You mean-
long ago.
You mean he wasn't involved in certain affairs going on Race Street many years ago?
Well, as a child, I wasn't told too much.
No, of course not. Yeah.
But, you hear rumors.
And what were the rumors?
And the rumors were that he was involved with China, in Chinatown. And there was a drug problem.
Yeah, opium,
in those
wasn't it?
days. Yes.
And he was in
But-
the opium dens in Chinatown?
Well, he knew of them, I'm
Yeah.
sure. But actually, we don't know too much what went on. My brother and I we weren't told anything.
Right.
And he died so young,
Yeah. But you really don't know.
Just-
You were only,
I
what,
really-
5 when he died?
something like that. I was very young. I think I was even younger, but I don't know.
Right.
And I don't remember. I don't remember him, except just vaguely different scenes flit in and out of my mind.
And do you remember hearing, like, how old he was when he came to this country? Was he born in this country?
No, he was born in Russia, but he came over here as a youngster.
And where did his family settle when he came here?
See, I don't know his history. I really don't know it at all. We lost contact after he died. There was no close contact at all.
Mhm.
Nothing.
So
I
you
just
don't know
feel-
whether they settled in
I-
Philadelphia or whether they settled in New York, or
As far as I know, it was Philadelphia.
did they come through Ellis Island?
I think so. I know my mother did.
And do you know whether he had any brothers or sisters?
Yes, he had one. He had a couple of sisters. One was named. The only one that my mother ever talked about was Sarah.
Sarah Garfinkel.
Yes, I suppose so.
Sure.
Yeah.
And-
And she was married.
And where did she
Um,
live? You know.
No, don't know a thing. Nothing.
And did you ever meet her?
I don't know. Tell you the truth, I really don't know.
So-
The one thing I do remember, though, at his death, in those days they had the funerals from the home
Yeah.
in the coffin, and I remember him in the living room of our house in Strawberry Mansion at the time.
Hmm.
It was a little house with a porch front,
Mhm.
and
But you never kept in contact with his family after that? or-
not at all.
And how about your mother? Where was she born?
She was born in Galatz, Romania. And she came over here when she was around 15. And I think my father only falsified their ages when they got married. They eloped and they got married. They said they were 21, both of them. It wasn't true. My mother was about 17, 18.
Do you remember what year she was born?
No, but
What year did she come here? Was it 1905?
yeah.
So she came in here in 1905.
That's the only
And-
thing I remember.
And if she was about 15, that means that it was around 1890 she was born.
I suppose so.
Right.
I really don't know.
Yeah. And she had
Shame.
how many brothers and sisters?
My mother had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. One sister died while she was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
And-
know much more than that.
And other than Molly, she had,
That was an older sister.
Right.
Molly was an older sister.
okay, and then a younger sister, and that was the one who died?
A younger sister, but there was an older one than Molly.
Oh, really? And she's the one who died?
No, a younger sister died.
Died, I see.
Yeah,
So there was an older one than Molly. And did you ever know her?
no. I knew Molly, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The only one remained in Romania because she got married and stayed there.
I see, that was the older one.
Yes.
And that family lost contact with her?
No, they kept in touch. But then the war came on, and that caused a lot of
The
different
Holocaust.
That was World War II.
World War II.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Only certain scenes do I remember, like the death of my father, and I remember him being in the coffin, of course, and don't remember too much. And my brother was there.
So what's the earliest memory you have?
I don't remember my father at all, but I keep thinking I did know him, and I remember certain little pictures that's flitting in and out of my mind.
But what's the earliest memory you have?
I remember one time he always brought me jewelry because he loved it. And he gave me a lavalier, which I still have.
Well, what's your fondest memory of childhood? I know you have a lot of memories you don't like to think about, but what's your fondest memory?
Not too many. Nothing till I met your father.
Ugh.
And I was 15 when I met
That was your
your
fondest
father.
memory?
It hasn't changed too much, but sometimes I'm like, oh.
So the knight in shining armor comes and rescues the damsel in distress. Huh?
And but the funniest thing is, when I met him, I also met one of his boyfriends, which I liked. But he was the one that that was insistent on going out together and all that.
How old were you when you met that?
15.
What did your mom think of him?
She liked him. My grandmother didn't. And we lived with my grandmother. She didn't like him because she didn't believe that he was Jewish.
Oh.
And that was very important. And she could speak English and she could speak Jewish, but she insisted on English only.
What, when you say your grandmother, you lived with your grandmother? So
After, yeah.
so she came from Romania. Did she come with your mother?
Yes, they came together. But first, my mother's brother, Meyer, came over and settled, got a job and all. And then he sent little by little, they all came over. Because he sent
From Galatz.
Galatz,
Galatz.
the next largest city at that time in Romania.
Did they come through Ellis Island?
Yes. Yeah. It's
And what was your mother's maiden name?
Davidson.
Right, so if-
Davidson.
So if they came through Ellis Island, it might be registered as Davidson.
I think so. Yes.
Do you know your grandmother's maiden name?
Wachter. I just came across it in the papers that I have. Yeah.
And how about your grandfather?
I don't know.
What was your mother's name? Your grandmother's name?
Toba.
So it was Toba Davidson.
That's right.
Right. But you don't remember your grandfather.
I do remember him. He was a very learned man. He spoke several languages, wrote in several languages. He was very up on things. He could read, which my grandmother couldn't, but was very clever in her own way.
And he came from Galatz also?
Yeah.
So they all came over?
Yeah.
Except for the
older
sister.
one of the older sister. That's
Right.
right. Meyer was older than my mother.
Right.
My mother had the brother, Dave, Gustav his name. He was younger.
Gustav Davidson.
Yeah.
They called him Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He was the one who was involved in the paper business too. Was that Dave? Did he have a?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't know.
Okay, I remember
He
thinking
did
your
so
family
many
did.
things until he went into the fur business
Oh.
with my Uncle Meyer,
Oh.
who was older, and the one that sent for all the family
Oh.
to come over.
So Meyer was in the fur business.
Yes.
Is that how Lewis got in the fur business? Or was Lewis in the fur business
No, I think
separately?
Lewis was before.
Oh.
That,
Lew-
I don't know too much about that.
Lewis was the mechanic of the fur business. He knew it as making coats
Right.
from furs, and he taught Meyer. Meyer only sewed coats. He
I see.
did not make them.
Oh,
But Lewis did from scratch.
I see.
He made the coats.
So they needed one another. One had to make them, one sold them.
Well,
Yeah.
they
Meyer, after a while, he was on his own
I see.
for a long time.
Dad, tell me a little bit about your family. Do you remember where your mother came from? What country?
well, my mother's name was Radis. Her maiden name was Radis. They came from Russia, as far as.
Do you know where in
No.
Russia?
No, I'm not that acquainted. I wasn't that particular acquainted there. It was mostly on my father's side. I grew up as my father had two brothers. There were 6 in the family and 3 girls, including my father. And my grandfather was, as far as I know, had a men's furnishing store.
This is your grandfather.
Yeah, my grandfather.
But where did they
Victor.
come from? Do you know? Do you know where your father's family came from?
My father's family came, as far as I know, they came over. My grandfather came over during the program in Russia,
Oh,
and he had my grandmother and my father came over. My father was the oldest at the time.
so hold on. Let me get this straight. Your father, your grandfather, came from Russia. Where in Russia? You're not sure.
No,
Okay. And your mother's parents, your grandparents on your mother's side, do you know where they came from?
they came from Russia also.
Okay. You don't know whether it was like in the same village or the same area.
No,
in Russia?
that part I don't know.
And where did your mother and father, were they born here or were they born in Russia?
My mother was born here. My father came over with my grandfather.
I see. Okay. So your grandfather brought your father, his son, with him from Russia.
Yes.
Okay. And do you know how old your grandfather was when he came? How old your father was when he came here?
No, I don't know their ages, but I do know at that time he didn't have on the citizen papers. My grandfather, so my father had to get out his own citizen papers after he married my mother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the laws at that time didn't have him as a citizen.
And where?
Because I have his citizen papers at home.
And where was your when your grandfather came over with your father? Who else did he bring with him?
He had 3 girls and 2 other boys.
And
And my father came over, and he had another brother that came over. Well,
who had your father or your grandfather?
my father. My father had 2 other brothers.
Okay. What were their names?
One was Joe, and one was Johnny.
So they came with Joe, Johnny, and what were the girls' names?
Fanny, Annie, and Loretta.
And they all came over. Your grandfather brought them, and your grandmother.
Yeah.
And they all lived. And did they arrive in Ellis Island?
Most likely, I don't know.
And then they came down to Philadelphia, or
Yeah.
they?
I do believe my grandfather's name was changed at Ellis Island to Miller. I think its original name was Pressman.
Really? So it
I
went
didn't
from
know
Pressman.
Pressman. Yeah. I do believe that. I'm not sure.
So I could be a Pressman instead of a Miller.
Right.
Uh,
I
You know-
never thought of that.
I think he changed his name on business purposes or different things of that sort in those days, and it was changed to Miller. But
Maybe.
I'm not sure. This is because I know we had close relatives at one time we visited in New York whose name was Pressman.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. And where did your your mother was born in this country?
Yes.
So her parents were born in Russia.
Yes.
And where did they settle when they came here?
They settled up in Boston.
Boston.
Yeah, up, that neck of the woods.
And why did they come?
And
to-
my mother was born in Fall River, Massachusetts,
Oh. Okay.
and
Yeah, go ahead. Hold on, Carol.
Yeah?
Can you open up the garage door? Your mom's here.
my mother was born in Fall River, Massachusetts,
Mm-hmm.
and They decided, the family moved to Philadelphia, and they opened up a more or less a cigar store on South Street. And then
Now, who did that? I'm sorry. Your mother's?
my mother's family there.
Open up. Yeah.
And then eventually,
Yeah.
Hi.
Hiya.
and then eventually, they moved to Ridge Avenue across a street where my grandfather had his store.
Is that how your mother and father met?
Yes.
Oh.
Now my grandfather was in a very successful men's furnishing store. My mother's father opened up a sort of a fruit store or some sort, and my father got his eye on my mother there, and they became acquainted, and that's how they met.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did you know that?
No.
How old were they when they met? Do you know?
No, they were young people, and I don't know exactly but they were young people.
And then.
And then my father got a job as a printer, and the ink affected him. There. So he was looking around for a business there.
Doris.
And he found somebody got him into the used furniture business at the time. And this man wanted to give up his store. He was also a Masonic man. And he made my father, he suggested my father join the Masonics also. And that's how he started with the furniture business.
Yeah.
And he became fairly
So your
successful.
grandfather was not in the furniture business?
No. My grandfather worked for my father for a while too.
Oh, I
after a
remember you
while.
telling me that. Okay.
And in fact, my father had the whole family working there. He was very successful. After a while,
And where was this?
on Ridge Avenue.
So you